with me. This is a way to honor the great work that you do every day. So I'm going to start with the story. I have this little teleprompter that's going to help me. In 2004, there was a young man who found himself homeless with an AIDS diagnosis and a very serious drug addiction. It was cold and miserable, and after being kicked out of Harborview, he was shivering in the middle of a snowstorm with no money, no cell phone, nowhere to go. Luckily, this man found his unlikely salvation nestled in a small homeless community under the freeway. These kind humans who, despite their own desperate circumstances, let him snuggle under their blankets and graciously let him eat their Doritos. If we pull back the curtain just a little bit, it's not too difficult to understand how this young man ended up under the freeway. This is the story of a young gay kid from Lincoln, Nebraska. He had a big heart and big dreams, but those dreams were temporarily overshadowed by a secret that he was too afraid to share. This kid grew up in an environment where his development was overshadowed by the confines of one dogmatic religious practice. This particular brand of religion holds its members to a very strict moral code. And if that code is not met, rebuke and isolation ensues. Looking back, as this kid was a teenager, he met someone in the church that was like him. He was a very handsome, well-dressed man, and although this teenager didn't understand the impact, he felt better knowing that there was someone like him in the world. One day at church, there was an alarming announcement that this well-dressed man would be publicly disfellowshipped for his alleged sins. Because of this alleged sin, he was outcast from his community. So this kid became scared and realized that any slight imperfection would result in isolation. Who could this kid talk to? Who could he trust? Would he lose his community if he told the truth? This kid wasn't taught how to move through conflict or how to ask for help. After a few years of this repeating story of isolation, this kid's parents also violated a moralistic code and were outcast from their community. So these experiences of public shaming and shunning were a window through which this kid learned to live life. This kid learned that any imperfection could result in isolation. He vowed to be perfect. Fortunately, this kid's long-term thinking was shut off. He wasn't able to see into the future, and he made bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. If we fast forward to 2004, we look closely at this man under the freeway, some people may think that he didn't have a future. But that wasn't true, because you see, this young man under the freeway is me. And fortunately, the next day, I met people like you. With the support of sound organizations like Seattle Counseling Service, the LOIN, Plymouth Housing Group. Oh, it's Plymouth Housing now, sorry. There were so many mission-driven leaders for me to learn from. I was finally able to come out and heal. Under the warm embrace of Plymouth Housing, I learned valuable life skills from many of you. I met amazing building specialists like Barbara Garrison, property managers like John Hutto, Mickey Nyland, housing case managers like Marilyn Mitchell, accountants like Tanya, Deb Rainey. All these folks were mission driven, and I learned from you. I've met people who gently pulled back the curtain and helped me seek care for my own trauma, HIV, and my addictions. I met people who encouraged me to write, go to school, or pursue an education. This kid wrote his first academic paper at the age of 35. I met people that taught me the importance of volunteerism. People taught me how to open a bank account, balance a checkbook. Still not great with that one. I met these types of leaders in chemistry classes, in NA meetings. I met people who chopped up vegetables so small that I would get my vegetables. That comes in super handy if you live with someone like Clarissa Ochoa. I met inspiring leaders like Bob Almquist, who introduced me to new concepts like trauma-informed care, harm reduction, and social justice. I met mission-driven leaders like Greg Eckerman, who believed in housing first, and most importantly for me, second chances. I met mission-driven leaders like Sala Sweet, Anita Franklin, to help me design a work schedule so I could do meaningful work and pursue an education. People like Teresa Albo, who was so generous with her kindness and her smile. Leaders like Deb Rainey and Tanya Hurst, who taught me the basics of finance and accounting. Sam Sauer, Martha Kreiner, for teaching me the importance of compliance in the nonprofit sector. There's so many more that I can't mention everybody. I'm so incredibly grateful for the windows that Plymouth has opened for me. I didn't get the opportunity to thank you back in 2007, so this is my big thank you card to you today. Thank you for helping me rebuild a foundation. And I recognize that many of these leaders that I've mentioned today have passed the torch off to you in this room. So thank you for the strong work you do every day. Please know that your hard work was not wasted on that kid from Nebraska. If I could go back in time and leave a message with that lost kid from Nebraska, I can honestly say that help is on the way. So, I've been told by my trusted advisors that every good speech has a call to action. So, here's our call to action. With the higher incidence of health disparities within our homeless community, the need for culturally competent, supportive services exponentially increases when traditional models fail. We need more innovators like you in our community. We need more winners like you who aren't afraid to pull back the curtain to fully understand that a person's story and see the full measure of their humanity. You'll be called on frequently when communication goes awry and when other organizations are struggling with their mission. I encourage you to find those stories, and together we can pull back that curtain and find those special stories that unite us and help us understand each other better. This is where our humanity resides, and it's where true healing begins. So tonight, another person will be sleeping under the freeway. And tomorrow, that person is going to need your help. And thanks to you, I'll be standing right next to you.